Welcome back. Today we will be discussing the chapter Human Health and Diseases. Health is not mere absence of diseases. It is a well-being of both our mind and body. Body and mind interact together. In olden days, we believed that sicknesses or diseases because of bad body fluids. That's called bad humor or black humor. That was completely disapproved by the discovery of circulation by William Harvey. He demonstrated that normal body temperature in persons with black bile, that as well as the discovery of circulation, clearly disapproved that good humor hypothesis of health. In later years, we came to know that our nervous system, endocrine system, immunological system will be all working together in maintaining our good health. So mind and mental state can also affect our health. But we'll be having sickness also. Our body is affected by sickness also. You will be having what types of sicknesses? So for example, you will be having genetical diseases because of deficiencies and abnormalities in our genetic makeup. They are all right from our birth. They are all congenital, okay, which will be inherited from parents to offsprings. Then, because of infections during our lifetime, will be infected with a large number of pathogens that will be affecting our health. And 3, lifestyle diseases. We are all now taking food and water, which may be sometimes polluted. Then lack of rest and exercise to our body, that type of lifestyle has led to the development of some new diseases. Because of our lifestyle, these are acquired, and these diseases are called lifestyle diseases. Okay. So, as I told you, health is wealth. When people are healthy, they are more efficient in their work. That increases the productivity and brings economic prosperity for the family, but also for the whole nation. Okay. So, for maintaining that perfect health, we need balanced diet. We should get all the nutrients in the right proportion. Hygiene, regular exercise. For that, you will be having yoga and physical and mental recreations. Then awareness about diseases should be also there. Then only people will be aware of. See, awareness can be created by educating people. By educating people, they will know what is the root cause of a disease, what are the common symptoms of a disease, and how it is to be tackled. Okay, so just such awareness will make people go and take proper remedial measures so that their health will be regained. Sometimes one or more organs of our body may be working abnormally. That will be causing certain symptoms or signs to develop. That is what is called dis-ease. When you are all comfortable, all your organs are working properly, you are at ease, comfortable. When one or more organs are not working the proper way they should be, then that ease is gone, dis-ease. Okay. How you become sick? You become sick mainly because of either some infectious diseases or non-infectious diseases. What are infectious diseases? Diseases that are caused by infection by a pathogen through an agent. This pathogen may reach you. Okay, from one person to another, it is reaching you. Then such infections are or diseases are called infectious diseases. Infectious diseases are very common because we are now living in an environment which is having a number of agents to carry these pathogens. Number two, we are having non-infectious diseases which are not spreading from one patient to the next one. It is not spreading. We cannot say that infectious diseases are dangerous or non-infectious diseases are safe. Never. Both can be dangerous. For example, cancer is a non-infectious disease. It is dangerous. HIV is a dangerous and infectious disease, but common cold. That also is a infectious disease, but that will never kill. Okay, that will be causing some trouble for a period. That's all. So don't think that only infectious diseases are dangerous, non-infectious diseases are safe. Never. Both are dangerous. Okay. What are the common diseases that are affecting human health? Let us see. The agent that causes sickness in you is called pathogen. Gen means to create. Anything, any agent that causes you sickness is called pathogen. Study of this pathogen, sick, etc., sickness, etc., is called pathology. Okay. How the disease is caused? What is the root cause of this? How this sickness is spreading? That is called etiology. Okay. So we are having the pathogens that may enter into your body in different ways. Okay. Most parasites which are living on our body are causing some harm to the host. No parasite is doing any benefit or good to the host. All of them are doing some damage. So they are all pathogens because they will be doing some harm. They enter into our body, multiply and interfere with the normal vital activities of our body. So that will be resulting in morphological and functional damage of our body parts. And these pathogens are having some adaptations to live as a parasite inside our body. See, parasites that enter into our gut must know a way of surviving the stomach. That is, they should have some special features that enable them to live in the conditions of the alimentary canal. Now, we are all discussing some of the very common diseases that are affecting. Salmonella typhi is the bacterium that causes typhoid fever in human beings. These are all entering our intestine through food and water. So we call it as contaminative type of infection. Water or food we take will be having the pathogens. So this food and water are contaminated with this pathogen and they will enter into our body through the blood and they enter through our food and water and they will reach our intestine. And from intestine they may reach other organs like spleen, liver, etc. also. That will be causing. What are the symptoms of typhoid? sustained high fever. For long time, you will be having fever, weakness, stomach pain, constipation, headache, and loss of appetite. These are some of the common symptoms of the disease. These bacteria, which are all living in our intestine, will be producing certain toxins, harmful chemicals that will be causing intestinal perforation. Small pores are produced in the intestinal epithelium, and that will be leading to death sometimes. And typhoid fever can be confirmed. How we can confirm that we are having this typhoid? When you are suspecting typhoid, you have to confirm it. That is with the help of Vidal test. It is called Vidal test. Vidal test is a antigen antibody test. We are detecting whether our body has started producing some antibodies, specific antibodies. The story of Mary Mallon, commonly called as Typhoid Mary, is that she was a carrier. She didn't develop any symptom of this typhoid, but she had these pathogens in her body. And through the food she cooks, she was serving it, giving it to other persons also. So for years together, she was being passing this pathogen to a number of persons in England, and was a typhoid carrier who continued to spread typhoid for several years through the food she prepared. Okay, then another example of bacterial disease is pneumonia. Pneumonia means, pneuma means air. There will be causing infection in the alveoli of the lungs, pneumonia. It is caused by bacteria like Streptococcus pneumoniae or Haemophilus influenzae. They will be causing infection in the lungs. As a result of infection, what will happen? The alveoli get filled with fluid. When the alveoli are filled with fluid, exchange of gases become difficult. So that will be causing severe problem in respiration. Oxygen exchange become very much reduced. So it will be causing the lips and fingernails to turn gray. Normally we will be having pink and red because we are all healthy and we are having hemoglobin, sufficient amount of hemoglobin. But here the oxygen availability in the blood is very less. So the color fades and may become even gray or bluish. You also have chills, fever, cough, and headache. How is this spreading? Is it spreading through the contaminated food? No. When an infected man sneezes or coughs, these bacteria are released through the nostrils, through the mouth, as droplets or aerosols. Okay, that is one. Then, by touching glasses, utensils. So, inanimate vectors, meaning agents which are non-living agents. They are called formite-borne disease. They will be also spread by sharing of glasses, utensils, etc. with infected person. Similarly, you are having dysentery, plague, diphtheria, which are all other bacterial diseases. Dysentery, bacteria, Shigella is the most important genus. Corynebacterium diphtheriae. Okay, that causes diphtheria that affects the mucosal lining of the throat. And plague, bubonic plague, which is spread by the agent, rat flea, Synopsilla. This is the carrier, which is the vector, which is causing the spread for the plague. Okay, so it is very quick in spreading and seriously affecting the life of large number of persons in a short time. So you are having disease like tetanus, Clostridium tetani, Clostridium botulism. So we are having a number of such diseases caused that will be affecting human health, which are all caused by bacteria. But understand that we are all also easily affected by viral diseases. What are the common viral diseases? The most common one is the common cold. Viruses that affect our nasal passage. Only the upper nasal tract is affected. It will never affect trachea or bronchi. It will affect only the nasal passage. So that you will be having running nose, rhinoviruses that causes common cold. They infect nose and respiratory passage, but never the lungs. The common cold is characterized by nasal congestion and discharge. You will be having difficulty in breathing because there is congestion, sore throat, hoarseness, headache, tiredness, etc. That will be lasting for maximum 3 to 7 days. And here also, spreading is very easy because droplets resulting from the cough or sneeze of an infected person, they will be taken by others as they breathe in through the inhaled air. They are all taking this pathogen containing air and transmitted through contaminated objects like pens, books, cups, doorknobs, computer keys or keyboard, mouse, etc. So formite type of spreading is occurring for them also. A notorious protozoan disease which has taken great number of persons' life is malaria. It's a protozoan disease. Belonging to protozoa, sporozoa, you are having this notorious malarial parasite, Plasmodium. There are different species, Plasmodium vivax, malaria, ovale, and falciparum. They are responsible for different types of malaria. And the Plasmodium falciparum is the most serious one because it causes black water urine. It causes severe damage to our blood cells. Our health will be very quickly deteriorated. So it will be spreading also very quickly. So it is called most dangerous Plasmodium falciparum. Malignant malaria. It causes malignant or pernicious malaria. Okay. Now, what is the life cycle of Plasmodium? Plasmodium is a classical example for a digenetic endoparasite requiring two hosts to complete its life cycle. It enters into human body when a infected mosquito comes to suck your blood. While it is sucking the blood from your body, it is a female Anopheles mosquito. This mosquito is injecting a small amount of saliva. Through that saliva, the infectious stage is coming. That infectious stage is called sporozoites. That infectious stage is called sporozoite. Why it is called sporozoite? Because there are spore-like formed by the process called sporogony. They will be entering into the blood, and from blood they will be entering immediately to the cells of the liver, and thus in the liver they will grow and multiply asexually. Asexual reproduction is called schizogony. It undergo repeated multiplication by schizogony. Okay, and they come out of the liver cells by breaking them, and they again enter into fresh liver cells, and this cycle will be continued. And this is the first cycle that is occurring in the body of man. So it's called the pre-erythrocytic cycle, because this is the cycle that is taking place outside the RBC. Now, after a number of repeated cycles, they stop entering into fresh liver cells and will enter into RBCs. In the RBCs, they grow to what is called trophozoite, because they are all growing by eating the food, the most favorable proteins present within the RBC. And as they are all feeding on these proteins, they will be producing some toxic chemicals also that become accumulated within the RBC. And they will be undergoing several stages in the RBC. From trophozoite, they become amoeba stage, amoeba-like with pseudopodia. Then they develop into a signet ring stage, and finally they become a round structure called schizon that undergoes again schizogony. So both in liver and RBC, you are having asexual reproduction, schizogony, and that produces a number of merozoites. These merozoites enter into fresh new RBCs, and the cycle is repeated. Now, along with the release of merozoites by the bursting of RBC, the toxic chemicals called hemozoin. The toxic chemical is called hemozoin. Is also released. It is this hemozoin that is responsible for the development of symptoms of malaria. It causes sickness. What sickness? Malarial fever, which is having 3 stages. One, very hot stage. Initially, you will be having a chill stage, where the body will be feeling so much of cold and chill, and body start to shiver under that chillness. Now, chillness is gone, and gradually body temperature increases. You will be having very high temperature that will be lasting for a few hours. Then suddenly fever, the temperature comes down, and the patient start sweating. That is the third and the final stage. So a chill stage or cold stage, then fever, hot stage, and sweating. Okay, we are having 3 stages in malarial fever. That is caused because of the hemozoin. So what is the time required for completing a cycle in the RBC? That is the period in which the fever will be occurring. Sometimes fever will be occurring on every 48 hours. We call it as quartan fever. Sometimes, it is tertiary fever. Sometimes it may be occurring on 72 hours. Then it is called quartan fever. Okay, so tertiary fever on the 3rd day, that is 48 hours or 72 hours. So what is the duration? Okay, falciparum, I told you, is a malignant, very dangerous. It completes the life cycle fastest. It requires only 36 hours. So on every 36 hours, you will be having the RBCs breaking and hemozoin released. So the fever will be occurring at an interval of 36 to 48 hours. That is the condition for falciparum. Okay, ovale will be taking the longest time, 72 hours. So it will be causing fever only on the 4th day. That is why it is called, this fever is called quartan fever. Okay, Plasmodium vivax and Plasmodium malariae. oven will be causing fever on 48, that is third day, tertian fever. So tertian fever, quartan fever. And falciparum is the most dangerous one as it causes fever on every 36 to 48 hours. Okay. Now, after several cycles in the RBC, this cycle is called erythrocytic cycle, or it is also called the cycle of Golgi. Cycle of Golgi. Since this is the erythrocytic cycle that is taking place in the erythrocyte RBC, erythrocytic cycle, the cycle that is occurring in the liver, that is the first one, is called pre-erythrocytic. Pre-erythrocytic cycle. So after a number of cycles in the RBC, these cells will be developing into a special type of cells called gametocytes. These gametocytes are of two types, male and female gametocytes. They cannot grow further in the body of man because we are all warm-blooded. These gametocytes are highly sensitive to high temperature, and so they cannot continue their development in such warm environment. So they should be taken up by a mosquito. Anopheles female mosquito comes, sucks blood. Remember, mosquito is not a blood sucker actually, because their food is not blood. They are all taking blood just to get some proteins for the maturation of her ova. Mosquito is not a parasite. It is only a vector. So it takes the blood, and while taking the blood, through that blood, the male and female gametocytes are also entering in the intestine. And in the intestinal epithelium of the mosquito, these male and female gametocytes develop into gametes, and fertilization also occur. The zygote will gradually develop into a moving. See, fertilization and development take place in the mosquito's gut, and after that, they will be reaching the salivary glands, where they undergo multiple division. Remember, the multiple division that is taking place in the sexual phase. This is the sexual phase. It is called sporogony. Sporogony is a multiple fission taking the sexual stage, and schizogony is the schizogony is the multiple fission taking place in the asexual stages of the life cycle. And small, very small, sickle-shaped structures called sporozoites are produced in the salivary glands. These sporozoites are injected into man by the mosquito. So, mosquito is injecting. So, we call it as inoculative type of infection. As if it is inoculated, the pathogens are injected, the mosquito is injecting, and thus they enter into the man. So, what is the stage at which it enters? Sporozoid. So, when the mosquito bites another human being, the sporozoites are injected along with that bite. Thus, it completes the life cycle. In the life cycle, it requires man and mosquito. Remember, in the mosquito, it is reproducing sexually, and in the body of man, it is reproducing asexually. Similarly, another pathogen, protozoan, which is a pseudopodia bearing amoeboid protist is Endamoeba histolytica. This Endamoeba histolytica is living in the, normally they are living in the lumen of large intestine, and it will be feeding on the fecal material that will be causing no harm to us. That stage is called minuta stage. But rarely it may become large in size, grow to large size, produce toxic chemical by which they penetrate into the epithelial cells and become harmful. That stage is, virulent stage is called magna form. So minuta form, harmless, living in the lumen of the large intestine. Whereas magna form, living in the epithelial cells of the intestinal wall, feeding on our blood cells because they are all boring into the epithelial cells. Epithelial cells are broken and blood comes, they will be feeding on the RBCs and they will cause dangerous symptoms for our intestine, which is commonly called as amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. The symptoms include constipation, that is, movement of the feces become improper, it become held up, and that leads to constipation, abdominal pain, cramps, and stool with excess mucus and blood cells. They are all transmitted. Okay, these pathogens are coming from the body of one infected man to the soil through the stool, and from the soil they are all carried by flies, especially house flies, which are all mechanical carriers, and thus from feces they are all carried to our sources of food and water, and through food and water they are all reaching our body again. So it is again through contaminated method of infection. Drinking water and food are contaminated by the fecal material, which are the main source of infection. Worms are also parasites on our body. Worms like the common worms like ascaris. Ascaris cause the disease called ascariasis or roundworm trouble. Simply we call it as worm trouble, which is characterized by intestinal bleeding because it is living on the intestine, muscular pain, fever, anemia. And since these are all large-sized worms, they may even block our intestinal passage. So the flow of food through the intestine is very often obstructed. Eggs are passed along the feces to the soil. That will be contaminating water, the vegetables, plants, etc. And they may again infect a healthy man through contaminated water, vegetables, fruits, etc. So also contaminative type of infection. Another interesting one is Wuchereria. These are all ascalmins. Both ascaris and Wuchereria are ascalmins. This Wuchereria is having a number of peculiarities. It is not living in the small intestine, in the digestive tract, but living in small lymph vessels and ducts. Okay, this is showing sexual dimorphism. Males and females are different, and the females are giving birth to. They are all viviparous. These young ones are called microfilariae. These microfilariae come to the surface blood vessels, that is blood vessels close to the skin during evenings, say for example 6 to 10 p.m. That is what is called nocturnal periodicity. Why they are all coming to that area? Because they know they can enter into their vector, which is Culex mosquito, female Culex mosquito, which is coming for sucking blood in the evenings. So in the evening time, at that time, there will be in our peripheral bloodstream and they will be picked up by the female mosquito where they will be undergoing some modification, changes, molting, etc. and become infective. Okay. And through their bite, they again enter into another man. That's how they are all easily spreading. So it is mosquito, inoculative type of infection. And what is the symptom that it causes? The disease it causes is called elephantiasis or filariasis. Okay, this elephantiasis is characterized by swelling and fibroid nature of the tissues, which are especially in the extremities of the legs, leg, hand, scrotum, mammary glands, etc. What is the reason? When their number is increased, they will block the flow of lymph vessels. The lymph through the lymph vessels are blocked. So lymph is not flowing. So when the lymph is not properly discharged, this tissue become fibroid. Even if you treat the disease, all the pathogens are killed. This deformity which is already formed will never come back. It is a permanent deformity. So extremities of the legs, hand, scrotum, mammary glands, etc. will be affected. Okay. Now coming to some fungal pathogens. These fungal pathogens generally belong to Microsporum, Trichophyton, Epidermophyton. They will be infecting our scalp, skin, nails, in between the toes of the feet, etc. It is commonly called ringworms. The disease is called ringworms. Okay. These ringworms will be causing itching sensation. The skin become highly dry and scaly, and that will be causing itching sensation. The lesions are accompanied by itching sensation. Heat and moisture help these fungi to grow. That's why they are very common in the axillary region, in the pubic region, etc. Normally, these ringworms will be acquired from soil. These fungi will be growing in soil. From that soil, we get it. Or we may also get it from the use of, by the sharing of towels, clothes, or comb, which are also used by an infected individual. So by the sharing of, so again, formite method of inanimate vectors are also here. Suppose I am having this sickness, I am combing. The same comb another man is also using, that man will be easily getting infected. So this comb is acting as a inanimate vector. Okay. Now, we have seen that large number of organisms, viruses, bacteria, protozoan, fungi, nematodes, all of them, large number of pathogens can cause diseases. Now, how can we protect ourselves? We have to maintain personal and public hygiene. That is very, very important. If it is through contaminated method of infection, a parasite is spreading, we have to take safeguard. How? We have to boil the water before drinking. Only eat healthy, hot food. Okay. Vegetables, fruits, etc. should be completely, thoroughly washed before eating. If it is through mosquitoes or other insects that are biting us, then we should avoid the spread of this mosquito. How? We have to remove all water bodies nearby our dwelling places, because it is in the water bodies that they will be laying eggs and producing young ones. So, drying up of water bodies. Don't use potted plants in your bedrooms or inside your houses. AC vents, don't allow these AC vents to accumulate water. It should be well drained. Similarly, on the refrigerator, there will be a water tray, okay, a chill tray. It will be having water at the lower end of the lower part of the refrigerator. That should be frequently made dry. Okay, so we have to make such precautions to prevent the spread of mosquitoes. Then you can use nets that will prevent the entry of mosquitoes. You can use creams that will be applied to your body so that mosquitoes will be repelled. So such repellents are also ideal. Okay, so wire mesh to prevent the entry of mosquitoes, and these mosquitoes are also responsible for the spread of very dangerous diseases like dengue. We are having the dengue, chikungunya, which are all spreading very quickly, dangerous ones. These are all viral diseases. Okay, viral diseases which are spread by the vector. Aedes aegypti, tiger mosquito. So nowadays we are having vaccines available. So you should take vaccines. If they are available, then you should be vaccinated against these diseases. Use of vaccines and immunization programs have enabled us to completely eradicate some diseases like smallpox, and now polio is also declared to be free. Our country is free from the polio infections. Okay, so we are having vaccines produced and are available, so you have to take them. And proper use of medicines, discovery of antibiotics and various other drugs have also enabled to effectively treat infectious diseases. So these are the methods by which we can make our body free from diseases. So personal hygiene, you should wash yourself, wear neat dresses, always washed and dried. Similarly, public hygiene, not only our body but also our environment should be also very neat and clean. Never allow garbages to be strewn all over the street. Proper waste management, proper cleaning of waterlogged areas, drainage systems. Never allow a pipe to be leaking because that will be causing accumulation of water. That tiny drops of water is sufficient for these mosquitoes to spread. Okay, so these are all the precautions that one should take for containing these diseases. Now we pass on to another aspect, namely immunity. The term immunity means freedom. Though we are all continuously attacked by a large number of pathogens, including viruses, bacteria, protozoa, fungi, nematodes, etc., normally we don't fall sick. Why? Because our body is having an amazing power of giving you freedom from diseases. That system, that elaborate system is called immunological system. And the overall ability of the host to fight the diseases is called immunity. There are two types of immunity. One, innate. Innate means inborn. That is right from birth. Inborn. It is right from our birth. So right from birth, it is protecting you. And it is non-specific. That freedom, that protection is not against a particular disease from general pathogenicity. Okay, it is a non-specific immunity, not against a particular pathogen or a particular disease. And what is it doing? It is trying to prevent the entry of pathogen into our body. It is acting as barriers It is protecting our body by making some barriers. Okay, and this is genetically controlled. That is why some persons are having good immunity. Some are very weak. That's why that man may be frequently getting infections, whereas others are never getting infected because they are having strong immunity. It is genetically controlled. Okay. Now, what are these barriers? 4 types of barriers are there. Let us see these 4 types of barriers. 1. Physical barriers. That is, they are actually acting as a barrier that protects the entry of pathogen, that prevent the entry of pathogens. For example, we are having skin with a very hard outer covering. So skin is there. Then mucus lining throughout our nasal passage, urinary passage, alimentary canal, etc. You are having a mucus layer. So through the respiratory, gastrointestinal and urinary tract, you are having mucus layer. That is acting as a barrier for the entry of the pathogen into the tissues and cells. Physiological barrier. Our body is producing something, secreting, say for example, tear, saliva. Saliva is containing lysozyme that kills bacteria that try to enter through the mouth. And stomach is having HCl that is dangerous to bacteria. So they are all helping us in protecting our body from these pathogens. Cellular barriers. What are cellular barriers? Some cells of our body can directly fight with these pathogens. We are having WBCs, especially the amoeba like pseudopodia producing polymorpho-neutrophils, and the largest cell, that is monocytes and NK cells, natural killer cells. Natural killer cells are a type of lymphocytes. So these cells are amoeboid cells that can produce pseudopodia, and they can eat phagocytotically pathogens that enter into our body. So these cells are protecting us. Last one, cytokine barriers. What are cytokines? These are all communication molecules produced by an infected cell in response to a viral attack. Suppose a virus came and attacked your cell. Okay, this virus came and produced large number of daughters, and this already is infected. This cell is already infected by a virus. Now, this will produce certain communication molecules called the interferons. Interferons are intercellular communication molecules. The interferon will never work against a virus, but it will give message to non-infected cells. So it is produced by an infected cell giving message to non-infected cells so that other cells will be protecting themselves from the attack of the virus. Thus, it acts as an intercellular messenger molecule. So, cytokines, we also call it as lymphokines. There are different types. Okay, so we are having 4 types of barriers. Now coming to the second type, which is called acquired. As the name itself gives you the idea, it is not from birth. Not from birth. But you get that protection because you were first attacked by, infected by that pathogen. So the pathogen is coming and you are all getting infected. When your body will slowly respond. So this response is very weak and slow. That is called primary response. And this response will have memory. That is a very important one. our body remembers what type of pathogen was there. So slowly our body picks up the resistance towards these pathogens, and pathogens are now destroyed. You become free from that sickness. Later on, when the same pathogen comes and attack your body, our body remembers because of the memory. Okay. And will be very quickly, very spontaneously, very powerfully react to that pathogen. That secondary infection, secondary response is called anamnestic. Secondary or anamnestic response is very, very quick. So, if you are having first attack, you became sick because your body had very weak response at that time. But later on, your body become very strong in countering the same pathogen. That's why the same pathogen will not cause any disease in your body for a second time. That's called anamnestic or secondary response. So, only towards this pathogen your body has developed immunity. That is what is called specific. I told you this is non-specific. Innate is non-specific, whereas acquired immunity is specific. Against the same pathogen, your body will be having memory, and through the memory, your body will be protected. And this type of immunity will be of diverse types. Whatever may be the pathogen, maybe a bacteria, it may be a virus, our body remembers and produces the memory. How the memory is occurring? There are two types of cells involved in this type of acquired immunity. The T cells and B cells. What are these T cells and B cells? Let us see. These are all specialized lymphocytes. These are all special lymphocytes which are all produced in the bone marrow, and after developing in the bone marrow, they become mature. Where? T cells mature in thymus. That is why it is called T for thymus. T cells become matured in thymus and B cells in bone marrow. The tissue or organ where these immunologically competent immunological cells are developing and maturing is called primary immunological organs. So, in our body, we are having bone marrow and thymus as the primary immunological organ. These two cells are working in two different ways. If a pathogen enters your body, T cells will produce so many different types of cells, and they will attack by moving towards that pathogen. Large number of different types of cells are produced, and they will be all moving towards the source of that infection. Through which side the pathogen entered, they will be moving. And they cause what is called cell-mediated immunity. In kidneys, I told you, whenever you receive a foreign tissue, it is the T lymphocytes which are all responsible for graft rejection, because these cells will be marching to the site and will cause destruction through their pathogenicity, through their phagocytic ability. They will eat away, destroy such pathogenic cells. Whereas B cells produce a chemical by name immunoglobulin, which is commonly called antibody. We simply call it as antibody. So, it is the B cells that undergo multiplication and they in turn produce antibody. These antibodies are released to the blood, and blood takes them through any part of the body, and wherever the pathogen is there, the antibody reaches there and counter with the attack with the pathogen. So the attack or the protection brought about by the B cells are called tumor mediated immunity, or the CMI, cell mediated immunity, and the other one is tumor mediated immunity. Okay. This is the reason why we discuss that tissue can be received only from a matching donor. So it is because of the T cells that cell mediated immunity is caused. Okay. Now, what is an antibody? Let us study that. Antibodies are of different types. This is the structure of an antibody molecule, which is having two long chains called heavy chains. This is called heavy chain, and two light chains, which are shorter. The light chains are connected to the heavy chain by means of 4 disulfide bonds. There will be a total of 16 disulfide bonds within a monomer. This is a single unit, and both heavy and light chain will be having N terminal at one end, which are arranged in the form of the mouth of a funnel. Okay. And it is with this N terminal part that they come in contact with, they recognize an antigen. That part is called paratop. This paratop, this part is called antigen binding site. This is the paratop. They come and bind with a specifically a suitable or complementary shaped antibody. This antibody will recognize a particular type of antigen through the paratop. The antigen is having a part by which it is recognized by the antibody, and this part is called epitope. So epitope and paratop are complementary to each other. Only when they are complementary, they will become attached. This is the reason why an antibody will be specifically acting against a particular type of antigen only. That paratop is made up of highly variable part of the light chain and heavy chain. And the tail of that funnel is having C terminal, which is responsible for the nature of action of that antibody molecule. Based upon that, we are having IgA, A for alpha, M, IgE, IgG, gamma, epsilon, M, and also we are having IgD. So we are having 5 types of immunoglobulins. Okay. In colostrum, we are having IgA, which is secretory, which is passing from mother to the baby through the milk after birth. And IgG, gamma, is the only immunoglobulin that can be passed from mother to the baby through placenta. So even before birth. Okay. Prenatal transfer, IgG. And IgA, postnatal, that is after delivery. Okay. So we are having 5 types of immunoglobulins, and these are all helping us in protecting our body from the pathogens. Clear? What is active and passive immunity? If you are getting immunity by the working of your body, your immune system is working, it is active and producing immunity in your body, then it is called active immunity. So, for example, it may be both natural or artificial. What is a natural active immunity? A pathogen is coming and you become sick. Naturally, you got infection. That is a natural active immunity. Whereas a artificial active immunity. Pathogen is not naturally entering in. You are deliberately introducing this pathogen. Deliberately, purposefully, you are introducing the pathogen in the body. So, that pathogen is not causing any sickness in you. It is not that much strong enough to cause any sickness in you, but it will activate your immune system and will be causing antibodies. These antibodies will be present in your body for a long time. So, as long as you are having this antibody, you will not be getting infected naturally. This is the technique used in vaccination. So, against cowpox, what is done? Weak or dead, heat killed, attenuated pathogens are introduced into your body deliberately. That's what is called vaccination. So, you won't be becoming sick and your body become activated. It starts producing antibodies, and as long as these antibodies are there in your body, you become protected. This is the principle in vaccination. So, vaccination is actually an artificial active immunity. The other one is passive immunity. What is passive? Your body is not doing anything. It is not by the action of your body, but your body obtained that immunity. How? It may be obtained from other sources. Already prepared antibodies are all given to you. For example, the baby is getting IgA or IgG from mother. So, it is natural. Passive immunity. The mother is preparing and giving it to the baby. Baby's body is not at all involved in the immunity. Someone else, the mother, produced it and gave it to the baby. So it is a typical example for natural passive immunity. Okay. Whereas when we are all having a snake bite or a tetanus infection, what we do? We will take a concentrated form of anti-serum, which is already produced by some other animal. So we give this pathogen to other animal so that these animals will be producing antibodies. You take that antibody containing serum, concentrate and give it to you. That is what is called anti-venom. See, when snake bite occurs, large amount of dangerous proteins, toxins, antigens are introduced, and there is no sufficient time for our body to counteract. Our body will respond very slowly, but by that time the antigen will be acting and our story is over. So immediately there should be action, but our body cannot do so very quickly. So what should be done? We have to get antibodies which are all pre-formed. already prepared by somebody else and given to our body. So that is called artificial passive. So snake venom, tetanus toxoid, etc. are typical examples. Okay. So mother's milk considered to be very essential for a newborn infant because that will be containing the IgA, which is protecting the baby from pathogens that will be trying to enter through the nose, through the respiratory tract, or through the alimentary tract. So fetus is also receiving some antibodies from the mother through the placenta. That was what I was telling you, IgG. So these are two examples for passive immunity. These are all natural. So understand the principle of vaccination and immunization. Vaccination is artificial active immunity, whereas immunization is artificial passive immunity. Preformed pathogens are introduced into your body so that your body will be getting immediate relief. The father of vaccination, Edward Jenner, and Von Behring is the father of this immunization. So, in the case of snake venom, we are getting passive immunization. We are all getting immunization by giving antibody containing concentrates or concentrated serum to our body in case of snake bite or in the case of tetanus. Tetanus toxoid or ATS, anti-tetanus, okay, serum, ATS. Now, we are having a large number of vaccines which are all giving protection against these diseases, and thus we have three types of vaccines. First generation vaccine, where we are all introducing the pathogen, either very weak or heat killed. Then second generation, you are using rDNA technology in producing them, or third generation, we are not using any live pathogen for the production of these antibodies or antigens. Instead, we are using only artificially prepared synthetic chemicals. Okay. So we are having three generations of vaccines. Hepatitis B vaccine, Revac vaccine, is a typical example for second generation vaccine that is produced by rDNA technology. They are produced from yeast. We are making use of the yeast in getting these vaccines. Okay. Next, we pass on to allergies. Normally, our body will be respond to such infections, but sometimes our body overreacts. That overreaction, exaggerated response of our immune system to a pathogen is called allergic responses. And these allergic responses are mainly because of the release of histamines. And in our body, it is IgE type, which is the least type of immunoglobulin, which is responsible for such immunological responses. An agent that causes allergy is called allergen. It may be sometimes climate, it may be some dust particles, it may be some particles, it may be a food, it may be a cloth, anything. This allergen will be entering your body, and with the help of IgE, it will cause release of large amount of histamines. So, mast cells are attacked and they will be causing large amount of histamines. Histamines will cause blood vessels to dilate, so that will be causing blood pressure to come down. So immediately our body start sneezing, watery eyes, running nose, difficulty in breathing. gradually our sense may be sometimes lost if not treated immediately. Heart rate comes down, respiratory rate comes down, BP comes down, and the patient may even enter into a coma and may even die of these symptoms. Okay, so immediately medical attention is to be given. And what is given when the patient is taken to the hospital? An injection of 3 chemicals or 3 medicines. There are one antihistamine. We know that histamine is the main chemical. So, histamine, antihistamines. Then, a steroid, emergency hormone, adrenaline. Adrenaline will increase the body temperature, respiratory rate, heart rate, BP, etc. So, body is brought back to the normal situation. And cortisol. Cortisol is a steroid medicine that is working against such inflammatory responses. It is anti-inflammatory. So that will suppress our reaction to such, overreaction to such agents. So immediately will be given antihistamine, adrenaline and steroids, cortisol. Quickly that will reduce the symptoms. Okay. So why allergies occurring? Because we are not exposed to several situations during our childhood. So when these agents are first entering your body, that may cause such overreaction. All such overreactions, exaggerated responses are called allergic responses. Okay. Then autoimmunity. Normally, a very important property of our immunological system is that our immunological system has an ability to distinguish self from non-self. That is, they can understand what are the tissues, what are the proteins, what are the organs of our own body. And it can distinguish if it is from a foreign, if that organ is from a separate, another individual. Okay, so self from non-self, that distinction ability is there for our immunoglobulins. But rarely, because of some unknown reason, this ability is lost. When that ability is lost, it may cause attack. Our own antibody may attack our own tissues and organs. Such a disease is called autoimmunity. So, body attack cells, resulting in damage to the body. That is called autoimmune disease. We are having a large number of diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, okay, vitiligo. In muscles, we have studied. We are having rheumatoid arthritis, glomerulonephritis, which is also called Bright's disease. So, large number of such diseases are classical examples for these ones. Okay. Now, our immune system is an elaborate one. It consists of some organs exclusively for this immunity, organs which are having other functions but also involved in immunity, some tissues, they are not organs but scattered tissues, cells, molecules, etc. So we are having an elaborate system. Okay. Lymphoid organs are the most important organs. And these organs are of two types, primary and secondary lymphoid organs. What is a primary lymphoid organ? Primary lymphoid organs are the organs where the T cells and B cells are originating and maturing. They originate and mature. In our body, bone marrow and thymus are the two primary lymphoid organs where these cells are formed and are all maturing. After maturation, they move to other organs where they wait till a pathogen comes. When a pathogen comes, the encounter between the antigen and antibody occur in these organs and they will be undergoing proliferation, meaning they multiply and produce large number of different types of cells. These organs are called secondary lymphoid organs. What are the secondary lymphoid organs? These secondary lymphoid organs include spleen, lymph nodes, tonsils, Peyer's patches of the small intestine, and appendix. So it is in the secondary lymphoid organ that a mature T and B cells are going and lodged till they become sensitized. Sensitized means when they come in contact with the pathogen, then they become multiplied. They undergo selective cloning. They undergo division and produce large number of different types of cells that brings our immunity. Bone marrow is the main lymphoid organ where all blood cells, including our lymphocytes, are WBCs, all WBCs, RBCs are produced. Thymus is a bilobed organ located near the heart and beneath the breastbone. Breastbone is sternum. Thymus is quite large at the time of birth, okay, but keeps reducing in size with age. And by the time puberty is attained, it reduces to a very small size and continues diminishing. And by the time we reach the age of 50, it is completely gone, disappeared. Okay. Both bone marrow and thymus provide microenvironment for the development and maturation of T lymphocytes. Then, spleen is a small organ. Actually, it is a bean-shaped organ which contains lymphocytes and phagocytes. In them, these T cells and B cells are remaining and they are all acting as a filter for the pathogens that are entering into the blood. So, they act as a filter of the blood by trapping the blood-borne microorganisms. Spleen, we have studied, is the graveyard, but also understand that it is also capable of storing large amount of erythrocytes. So, it is a reservoir of erythrocytes. All our body, we are having large number of lymph ducts. These lymph ducts are having certain swellings. There are lymph glands. There are small solid structures located in different points along the lymphatic system, and they serve to trap the microorganisms and other antigens that happen to enter into the lymph and body tissues, tissue fluids. Antigens trapped in the lymph nodes are responsible for the activation of lymphocytes present in there and cause immune response. So that is our immunological system. Large amount of our immunologically competent cells are associated with the major tracts like respiratory tract, digestive and urinogenital tract. They are located in the mucosa layer. That is why it is called mucosa associated lymphoid tissue or MALT. In our alimentary canal, in the anatomy of the alimentary canal, in the histology of alimentary canal, we have studied that in the submucosa layer, you are having Peyer's patches, okay, which is also a part of that MALT. This MALT constitutes about 50% of the lymphoid tissues in our body. Is that clear? Next, we pass on to AIDS, a very dreaded disease. AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. It is an acquired disease. because of an infection, our immunological system is deficient. That's why it is called acquired immunodeficient syndrome. It is caused by a virus, a retrovirus, HIV. Okay, and AIDS was first reported in 1981, and in the last 25 years or so, it has killed more than 25 million persons. That's why it's a very dreaded. AIDS is a communicable disease that is transmitted through body fluids. Okay. Now, it is caused by a retrovirus. What is a retrovirus? Retroviruses are RNA viruses which can produce DNA by reverse transcription, because they are having a special enzyme called reverse transcriptase. They can produce DNA from their RNA, and that DNA become incorporated into the genome of the host. Thus it becomes a provirus remaining in the host cell. Transmission of HIV infection usually occur by sexual contact, through sexual act, by transfusion of contaminated blood and blood components, by sharing of infected needle. If the drug abusers are using a common syringe and needle, definitely they will be causing infections, and from infected mother to the child through placenta. So, who are all having the high chance of getting an infection? Who are all having multiple partners, sex partners, drug addicts who take drugs intravenously. Individuals will require repeated blood transfusion, and child born to an HIV infected mother. Okay. When people require repeated blood transfusion because of a damage in the liver or because of a bone marrow problem or because of hemophilic conditions, patient may be losing blood, and such patients are to be given blood. Blood transfusions to be done very frequently. And HIV is not spread by mere touch or physical contact. It's spread through only body fluids. So, it is imperative for physical and physiological, psychological well-being that HIV/AIDS patients are not isolated from the family just by touching him or just by eating or just by living together. Nothing will happen. Okay, but there should be no contact by the body fluid. Okay. Now, how this infection is occurring? When virus enters into man, first it enters into the macrophages, where its RNA replicate from viral DNA, because they are having a special type of enzyme called reverse transcriptase, and this viral DNA get incorporated into the host cell, and that will be remaining in that host cell. As a provirus, it directs and the infected cell to produce viral particles. Now, macrophages continue to produce viruses, and thus it acts as a HIV factory. Okay, only one entered, but it produces hundreds of viruses inside. Now, HIV also enter into helper T cells and replicate. What are these helper T cells? Helper T cells are the most important type of cells that bring cell-mediated immunity. So T type of lymphocytes, which is responsible for cell-mediated immunity. So they will attack T lymphocytes so that the T cell count comes down. And when the patient is having the T cells attacked, it causes bouts of fever, diarrhea, and weight loss. That is the symptom. And due to the increase in number of helper T lymphocytes, the person start suffering from infections. He will be experiencing diseases which are not normally occurring in a healthy man. Okay, thus he will be having infection to bacteria, especially mycobacterium, viruses, fungi, and even parasites like toxoplasma. Toxoplasma normally will not be infecting us. It will be infecting cat, etc. The patient becomes so immunodeficient. His immunological system is completely upset because the count of the helper T cells are coming down. Normally, we will be having 500 to 600 helper T cells in 1 ml of our blood. When the count comes to 200 or less than 200, we became an AIDS patient. Okay, and once you become AIDS patient, there is no escape from that. Okay. A widely used diagnostic test is ELISA. ELISA is only a primary test, first test, but it is to be confirmed by what is called Western blot. Western blot is a confirmatory test. And if it is confirmed that it is AIDS, then how we can prolong our life? There is no escape from AIDS. There is no remedy. There is no treatment. Thus, we can prolong our life. AIDS has no cure. Prevention is the best option. And HIV infection spread due to conscious behavior patterns. And it is something that happens inadvertently, carelessly. So, like pneumonia or typhoid, we may accidentally get infected, but AIDS is not infected by that pattern. It is by our deliberate act. So, it is better to remember this word, don't die of ignorance. If we get infected with HIV, it is because of our own ignorance. We were not that much cautious. That's why we became sick. And we are having our country, the National AIDS Control Organization, NACO, and other non-government organizations are educating people. Only by making people aware about the evils of this disease, we can stop the spread of this disease. There is no remedy. Okay, there is some drugs like AZT, acidothymidine. These are all antiviral drugs which will be interfering with the multiplication of the genome, but that will be only for a time being. There is no permanent remedy. Okay, so only by making people aware of the seriousness of this problem, we can have a relief from such diseases. Already by the constant effort of these government and non-government organizations, we have achieved great goals in making the people aware of the problem. Another one is cancer. Cancer is a non-infectious disease, which is also very dangerous. More than 1 million Indians suffer from these diseases. Don't think that this is very simple. It is one of the great reasons of death nowadays. Okay. What is cancer? Unwanted, uncontrolled, undesirable multiplication of cells is called cancer. There are two types of cancers. One, it is benign cancer. When the cells go multiplication, they will be forming a mass called tumor. That tumor is isolated from other cells by a covering, by a connective tissue covering, and it grows in the form of a mass called tumor. This is benign tumor. They remain confined to original location and are not spreading to others. Whereas the second one is most dangerous. What is that? It is malignant tumor. What is malignancy? The cells grow on multiplying, and these multiplied cells separate. They go invading new areas. Invasiveness. is the most important feature of such malignant. They spread to other organs. They reach far and distant places of our body. So from the source of the cancer cells, they may reach other parts, other organs, and they cause disease in all others. So they will be easily spreading. That ability is called metastasis. That is the most feared property of malignant cancers. So malignant tumors are tumors which become spread easily. Okay. What are the causes of cancer? Any agent that can cause healthy cell to undergo dangerous change, cancerous change, is called carcinogen. It may be a physical agent like radiation. It may be a chemical agent, large number of chemicals like tobacco, then heavy metals. Okay, we will be having several genes in our body called cellular oncogenes or proto-oncogenes, which are present in every cell, which are sleeping, but under certain conditions they become active and will cause cancerous growth. So we are having physical, chemical and biological agents. A large number of viruses are also found to be causing cancer. They are called the oncogenic viruses. They have genes called viral oncogenes. How we can detect cancer? Cancer can be detected by histopathological studies. We take a small sample of the tissue. Okay. So biopsy, that is called biopsy, and observing the tissue under microscope. Okay. So biopsy, a piece of the suspected tissue is cut into thin slices and stained and examined under microscope, and we are detecting whether the cells have undergone any change. We also use radiography, that is X-rays, CT and MRI. Okay. CT uses X-rays to generate a three-dimensional image of the internal organs, but MRI uses very strong magnetic fields and non-ionizing radiation, so it is more safe, so that we can accurately detect pathological and physiological changes in the living tissues. So these are the methods by which you are all detecting cancer. Now, how we are all treating? Treatment is done with a combination of techniques. Common approaches for treatment uses surgery. If it is benign, it can be cut and removed. Then radiation therapy, you are bombarding these affected tissues with radiations of ionizing isotopes. And immunotherapy. Immunotherapy, the cancer cells are having an ability to evade being detected by our immunological system. So we have to boost our immunological system. So our own immunological system will be able to detect them and destroy them. In radiotherapy, tumor cells are irradiated lethally, taking proper care of the normal tissues. And chemotherapy is used for treating against malignant because it has spread all over the body. Drugs, chemicals are infused into the body of that patient, and that body, all parts of the body will be thus getting that medicine, and all rapidly growing and multiplying cells are destroyed. It will be also destroying normal healthy cells. This is the reason after chemotherapy, the hairs are lost because hair cells are rapidly growing and dividing. Our blood cell count comes down. So all of them will be destroyed. We also have biological response modifiers, just like alpha interferon. What is the action of that alpha interferon? Alpha interferon will be boosting, which activates our immune system. Thus, they will be helping in destroying the tumor. So, just like the biological response modifiers, we are using such chemicals to increase the effectiveness of our immunological system by using alpha interferons. Now comes drugs, alcohol abuses. Drugs are medicines that are given for treatment to certain ailments, but other people who doesn't want it also take them in frequency and in dosage which is higher than what is prescribed. Then it is called drug abuse. For example, we are getting different types of drugs which are all mostly from plants, and these drugs are having different effects. For example, opioid drugs are tranquilizers, sedatives. They will calm down. They are obtained from the poppy plant. Okay, smack or heroin. It is called the brown sugar. Though the name is brown sugar, it is white in color, odorless, bitter in taste, not sugar, sugary in taste. Okay, and it is obtained by the acceleration of morphine. What is that morphine? Which is extracted from the latex of the poppy plant. Poppy plant is Papaver somniferum. It is generally snorted, that is through the nose, or taken as injection, because we are having the receptors for this in the gastrointestinal tract and in nervous system. Okay. Cannabinoids, that is cannabis, ganja products. There are which interact with the cannabinoid receptors present in the brain, affecting our brain. They are all stimulants, and when they are all used in excess, they will be hallucinating. Natural cannabinoids are obtained from the influences of cannabis, ganja. Okay, cannabis sativa. Flower tops, female inflorescence, leaves, the resin of the cannabis. The resin is called the charas or hashish oil. So in different forms, they are all produced. So marijuana, hashish, charas and ganja are the different forms of them. They are also taken by inhalation and oral ingestion through the mouth or snorted. Okay, and they will be also having effect on cardiovascular system. So our heart rate increases, BP increases. That's why we become a stimulation. They are all stimulants and hallucinating agents. What's a hallucinating agent? That will be causing hallucination. Our thoughts and our perceptions will be changed. Coca obtained from coca plant, Erythrosalem coca, which is native to South America. It interferes with the transporters of the neurotransmitter dopamine. Coca is a stimulant. It is also a stimulant. Commonly called as coke or crack, is usually snorted. Okay, it has a potent stimulating action on central nervous system. And excessive dosage of cocaine will be hallucinating. We also have atropa, belladonna, from where we will be getting atropine, and datura, strychnine are obtained from these plants, which are also hallucinating agents. Now, we are also having drugs, barbiturates, sleeping pills. There are sedatives. Okay, diazepam. Amphetamines are synthetic stimulants whose action is similar to that of our adrenaline stimulants. So, barbiturates, amphetamines, benzodiazepams, and other drugs are usually given to patients who are all suffering from some mental illness like depression, insomnia, etc. And morphine is very effective, sedative, and painkiller. That's why they are given to patients who are undergone surgery. It's a painkiller. Several plants, fruits, and seeds have hallucinogenic properties, and they have been used for different ceremonies and rituals all over the globe for long years. Okay, so when these drugs are used for purposes other than medicinal in amount and frequency that impairs one's physical, psychological, and physiological functions, then it is called drug abuse. These are all drugs, medicines, which are used in therapeutics. But if they are taken for other purposes in amount or frequency that will be affecting our health, then it is called drug abuse. Similarly, is the case with tobacco. Tobacco contains large amount of chemicals, including nicotine, which is an alkaloid. This nicotine stimulates our adrenal gland and releases adrenaline. So it is a stimulant. So adrenaline nor adrenaline, both of them which will raise our BP and heart rate. If it is smoked, the smoke will increase the incidence of cancer because the smoke is containing nitro, so benzene, such chemicals which will be acting as carcinogen. Tobacco chewing is associated with increased risk of cancer of the oral cavity, which is the most common type of cancer in India. And another defect is that the smoke is containing carbon monoxide. This carbon monoxide will be interfere with the ability of the hemoglobin to combine with oxygen. Thus, it causes high oxygen deficiency in the body. Okay. These problems and alcohol abuses are very common in adolescence. What is that adolescence? It is both a process where the young ones are or children are becoming adult and also a period, okay, that is during the age of 12 to 18. That brings about a number of changes. This adolescence is a bridge linking childhood and adulthood. And during this, we have increased curiosity, need of adventure and excitement. So we start on experimenting, and for excitement, we start using alcohol. And just you start once taking alcohol, you will be inspired to take more and more. Thus, it becomes a normal habitual behavior from your part. Ultimately, it may lead to addiction and dependence. What is addiction? It's a psychological attachment. See, I will be comfortable only I am getting small amount of this alcohol. Psychological attachment to certain effect, such as euphoria. What is euphoria? A feeling of well-being, a temporary feeling of well-being associated with the drugs and alcohol. Only if I am getting that drug or alcohol, I will be all right. Otherwise, I am having some difficulty. That feeling is called addiction. Okay. And when the normal dose of that drug or alcohol is not reaching your body, the body shows some ugly, unwanted, unpleasant signs. That is called withdrawal symptom. And dependence is the tendency of the body to show such a unpleasant withdrawal symptom if the regular dose of drug or alcohol is not regularly given to your body. Now your body start showing such unpleasant and unwanted withdrawal symptom. What are the features? Anxiety, body shake, nausea, vomiting, sweating, and these are the symptoms. And you can easily come over that. How? You give the normal dose of alcohol or normal dose of the drug, then he will be coming all right. His body has become completely dependent upon that level of alcohol or drug in the body, without which his body cannot work normally. That is called the withdrawal symptom. And immediate adverse effect of drug and alcohol abuse is reckless behavior. His behavior goes on changing very frequently, vandalism and violence. And if excess dose of drugs may be leading to severe health problems like cerebral hemorrhage, heart failure, etc. And overdosing can even cause death. So, the most common warning sign of the drug and alcohol abuse is a drop in academic performance, abstaining from schools and colleges, lack of interest in personal hygiene. Okay, you will be having all such problems, aggressive and rebellious behavior, and that will be leading to abnormal behavior, fluctuations in moods, etc. And that may even lead to tendency of getting money from a very, very unpleasant situation. They will be even taking money from the home or borrowing money from friends and relatives. So, even may turn to stealing. So, there will be a lot of such problems, okay, because of them. Again, in addition to these, they will be also having the easy chance of getting either hepatitis B or HIV, because these drug abusers are sharing the syringe and needle, which is a common source of infection of AIDS and hepatitis B. Alcoholic patients will be having the liver cirrhosis. The liver become fibroid. Okay, initially it become fatty and later on become cirrhosis. Then once cirrhosis starts, end is very near. Okay. Now, sports persons are also abusing some drugs. They use some medicines. What medicines? Narcotic analgesics, painkillers, anabolic steroids to make their body strong, to increase their performance. And these narcotic analgesics, anabolic steroids, excuse me, and diuretics, that will be helping in sending out more urine so that water content is reduced, body weight reduces, the tolerance level increases. They'll be having a lot of side effects. Male will be developing some feminine features and female will be developing masculine features. They may also become impotent. Okay. So, drug abuses are very common among sports persons. And how can we prevent and control these drug abusers? There are 5 principles that we have to use. Avoid undue peer pressure. It is because of the pressure that the children are made to turn to such drugs. So, children should not be given undue pressure, unwanted pressure. Let the caliber come out by themselves, not by pressing it out. Giving proper education and counseling both to the patient as well as their parents. Seeking help from parents and peers, elderly people, so that they will be trusting these. The patients will be trusting their parents and their immediate relatives more. And whatever problem they are all having, they will be sorting it out and solving it. And looking for danger signs. If somebody is turning to these bad habits, immediately that matter should be brought to the notice of the head of the institution where they are studying, or to their parents or their relatives. And just like we are all taking medical aid, if you are all becoming sick, this is a mental problem. So don't hesitate to take medical aids. We are having a large number of de-addiction centers from where we can get sufficient help. So take help from a professional, qualified professional. If needed, take him to the de-addiction centers through meditation, through drugs, etc. Through regular practice, we can keep them back to or bring them back to life. So these are the 5 principles that are to be followed to avoid the abuse of the drugs. It's a very great problem in the society nowadays. Okay. So with these words, we are coming to the conclusion of the discussion of this chapter. We'll be discussing or we'll be coming with another chapter next time. Till then, goodbye and take leave of you. Thank you all. Thank you very much.